Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel, and I'm your host for LT Productions. You are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering Beyond the Gates. This is my weekly review, week 16, I believe. But I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video and also subscribe if you are new. Welcome aboard, and leave your comments below. Now, let's get into this week's drama. Okay, so I'm trying to do this review differently, just so that I'm not kind of rambling on or just making sure I got all the pieces together. So I'm trying to group every storyline together as much as possible. There were 3 major storylines, plus a new one that was introduced to us this week. And let's just get into it. I'm trying to do the best. I think I'm going to say what I feel is the biggest one is the one with Anita, because we get revealed a secret. And if you were not on social media on last week, then you weren't spoiled early, like I was. Let's go with Kat. Kat is up to her usual thing as regards to Eva and Leslie and bringing them down. But Kat is getting overzealous and really messing up a police investigation. Kat doesn't understand that she's dealing with Boy Scout Jacob. And there's just some things you cannot do as you can do on some type of drama, even though she is on a drama. You know? But if you're going to tamper with evidence and all that stuff. Anyways, so Kat, Mona, and Leslie, they're down at Orphans. They're talking about Leslie, and Leslie pulls up. They end up talking about what she has found, what they had found, and basically now Kat has pulled out the leather jacket. Why? I don't know why. I don't know. And she's asking Leslie, does it look familiar? And she said, well, it reminds me of one that I used to own years ago. After the little catty talk, I guess Leslie's about to leave, or at least walk around. Here comes Nicole. And you can see the tension between the two. But anyways, Nicole joins in on what she believes, and she believes that Leslie did cause the accident with Laura. And you know, Leslie always got the clapbacks and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Kat informs Leslie that she's bringing the jacket to the police. And she said, good. You're headed there now? Let's head there together. So they both arrive at the police station, and Kat presents all the evidence that she has found. And in all of this, Leslie's like, this is stupid, and I want a restraining order against her. Jacob's looking at the evidence, and it shows that the height of you, Leslie, is matching your description as far as your height. She ends up leaving and basically saying, look, you got to do something with her, I will, but not like that. And then she ends up saying something about Miss Bitch. Anyways. Leslie threatens to sue Kat for defamation. People have underestimated me my whole life, and that's why they never see me coming until I'm there. You best keep your eyes wide open. So she threatened the defamation, but obviously something else is going on. I mean, yeah, people have underestimated you since you got back into town, lady. But they don't know you. But if you, let me stop, because I was about to be shady towards you. On another day, Kat visits Jacob at the precinct, and Jacob tells Kat once again to stand down and stop recklessly interfering, especially after the DC Metro was unable to prove that the jacket belonged to Leslie. I mean, it had also Kat's DNA, and they could arrest her right there too, you know? However, Jacob did get a warrant to search Leslie's home and all that good stuff, so that's cool. Kat wants to be his assistant, and Jacob says, H, no. I'm paraphrasing and all that good stuff. Jacob leaves Kat at the precinct. However, Kat is saying to herself, I'm going to make sure Leslie gets what she deserves, with or without you, Jacob. Okay, Kat, you're going to ruin everything eventually. At Orphans, again, this is another day, she visits with Ashley and Derek, thinking that she was going to have some type of friend with Ashley, and Ashley said, you tripping if you don't get out of my face right now. So Ashley accuses Laura of trying to try to unalive Laura twice. Of course, Leslie's denying all of that. And because of Leslie, the hospital has changed its protocols after Leslie's last visit. I don't understand why y'all are tipping off Leslie at every hand. Y'all keep doing that. Kat, you're doing it. Ashley, you're doing it. Shanice, you're going to do it. And Derek, he ends up putting, as I said, put some bass in his chest and demands Leslie to go. Get away from their table. So Leslie goes to the hospital and approaches Shanice. She tries to use a fake accent, but Shanice is not falling for it. Leslie asks Shanice to show her the security footage, and Shanice refuses. She says, I can spot a lace front wig a mile away. Basically, Shanice is saying that she knows that it was her the night that Laura was given that potassium. It was you on the security footage that Andre found. And then from that point on, Leslie was able to go to Andre. Leslie leaves and beelines it to Orphagene's, to Andre, and she uses reverse psychology on him in order for Andre to show the video. When she sees the video, she laughs. Of course she's going to do that. She said, that's clearly not me. I'm way more sexier than that. So Andre ends up snapping a photo of Leslie, and he's saying that he's hoping that this snapshot will be able, through our database, match your photo with this face over here. I said, okay, Leslie. When you think you got all your cards laid out, they're closing in on you. But these folks need to be a lot more smarter than what they are. So Leslie returns home, wondering where Eva has stashed her helmet and gloves. And then Jacob comes by with the search warrant. He does, and while she's doing it, she's trying to flirt with him to distract him. But nothing was found. And of course, that pisses off Jacob. After he leaves, Leslie says, baby, when I'm done with you, I'm going to own you and your whole jurisdiction. Jacob follows up with Kat, which I was surprised he did that, about what he did not find at Leslie's. And then Kat says that she believes that Eva is probably hiding the incriminating evidence for Leslie. And again, he says, cool it with all the speculation. So another day has passed. Kat, or at least another time has passed, another episode. Kat arrives at Orphagene's where Eva is. She's speaking with Laura, and she tells her that she'll be at the diner all day. And if you need her, to let her know. So Kat took that cue. Okay, let me go over to the hotel. Of course, she doesn't have a key, but she ends up sweet-talking this person, I guess one of the security guards, to open the room. She played like her sister is a stylist, and she grabbed the wrong key. She introduced herself as Ted Richardson's daughter, da-da-da-da-da. I have his key, but I don't have hers. And just needing some help, she flirted enough for him to do it, and she tipped him. She goes inside and to see where anything could be. She goes into the closet and sees a box, but there's nothing in there. Meanwhile, at Orphagene's, Thomas stops by and talks with Eva. Eva is flirting with Thomas by talking about his abs that are showing. She says what her current state is that she's living in a hotel, thanks to Ted. However, she does have insurance to make sure that Leslie doesn't give her any more trouble, because she was talking about being falsely accused of, or being told that she is a part of this whole Laura situation. Thomas wants to know what this security is, but Eva says, she's keeping it safe and secure. Then they find out that Eva likes a lot of fantasy romance books. And even though I don't know why they're titling it for Thomas, but fantasy fiction books. Just say you're into romance novels. I know that it's not becoming of a man to show that or whatever, but I guess there's other fiction stuff that he likes. So Eva's willing to trade off a book set that she has that Thomas is interested in. So they go back to the hotel. Kat is still there, but before they get in there, Kat is able to hide under the bed. Eva gives the books and they talk for a few minutes. And Eva's really grateful to Thomas for all that he is to her. And then she leaves and tries to kiss him. Thomas did not kiss her and says, hey, my heart is somewhere else. And there's something special between him and Kat that makes Kat smile. She's got me hooked and I have to see where it goes. Of course, that does upset Eva, not as far as I'm pissed off, but it's just like, dang, my chance has been eliminated as far as me being able to have a chance with this dude. Thomas ends up leaving. He was looking very suspicious because she'd already seen that the box is out. Thomas had already suggested that maybe the cleaning people had pulled it out while they were cleaning and forgot to put it back in. But anyways, while Kat was under the bed, she ended up finding the black bag with the gloves and helmet. Eva ends up getting another call from Lauren. We'll get into that a little bit. It's nothing really much. Lauren is out of the hospital and she returns back to Nicole's to be the assistant. her adjusting to what all Eva did, she's having a hard time. So she did call Eva before to try to help and da-da-da-da-da. And she's been bailing her out and giving her a go-to at how to get things done. So Laura has called again, and then she gets up and then she leaves the hotel. Kat gets out of the under the bed. She looks in the bag and she sees the gloves and helmet. Okay. We'll do a little minor interlude and we'll go over to Martin and Chelsea. They're at the country club and Chelsea suggests to Martin, what about Samantha being the model for our teen purse line? She could be the face of it. Martin's not too keen on that. Then they get on the subject of Haley having a baby, and both are kind of like, Next up, Martin meets with Ted. I think it's cool that Martin and Ted are starting to meet more because, again, we had not had any type of dialogue between them. The first dialogue we had them, it was it the fashion show? The goodbye fashion show for Chelsea. And then Samantha was up there that all of a sudden caught the modeling bug. Yeah. And then, of course, when things came out about the affair. But anyways, they talk. And we see the nosy reporter that's around at the country club that only watches Martin. Martin tells Ted, I wish I had treated you with a little more understanding and compassion. Martin, because of the person that you are, I might have agreed with you, at least how you have portrayed. But again, what I've said in the past, I think Ted was really trifling to bring you around that lady. I'm sorry. This girl done developed a nickname for you, or a pet name for you. Whether you responded to it or not, I don't think that was right. He should have did his dirt on his own. That was great. But anyways, he says, well, Ted is grateful for his son's forgiveness, and he's also grateful that Nicole are finally speaking again, even if it's a little small talk and all that good stuff. But yeah, it's cool that they're mending. Hopefully we get more scenes with Ted. We shall see. Martin goes over to Nicole, checks up on her, and he also wants to know, are you going to move forward with Ted at all? Nicole said, it would be nice, but giving in would be a relief, but it would not be real. She said that she wants to live authentic as possible from now on. Understandable. Mona had a conversation with Nicole earlier, and they were going off about Ted actually being with Leslie. She says, what if Leslie really conned him into a relationship? As you're telling your woes to this person, what was that like? What does she have a way? I mean, look at how manipulative she is now. Does she have a way of pulling you in, knowing your situation? Who knows? Ted pays a visit to Eva at the hotel room where they share their mutual distrust of Leslie. Eva's a little bit more lenient on Leslie because everything isn't always bad with her. She says that she doesn't think that Leslie is behind the accident. There's a lot of evidence that could look like it, but after she said that she wasn't a part of it, she basically just saying, I don't believe it, even though you have the helmet and gloves, because you're about to do something else, so you're lying to Ted, essentially, or omitting stuff to Ted. Ted says that Eva can always turn to him if she wants to break free from Leslie. Eva says that she appreciates it, and she also says that Ted should watch his back around Leslie. Leslie ends up coming to the hotel and is asking her, where is the missing helmet? She says she hid it somewhere safe for leverage, and you need to stay on my good side for a change. So the tables have turned. I'm getting some of the smaller stories out of the way right now. We already got to Kat and all that good stuff. We'll soon get to Bill. Well, Chelsea and Vernon, she talks about that she really doubts real love exists. I mean, look at her parents, look at Nicole and Ted, whom they thought were the perfect couple and all that, da-da-da-da-da. And Vernon reminds her of the examples that still are having a strong and are thriving. And that is Smitty and Martin. Jacob and Naomi. And then her grandparents, duh. You become the perfect match over time. It's not something that's going to click right away. You'll go through your honeymoon stage and then you can't stand each other and then you try to link back together later on in life, is the message, I think. Haley comes by Danny's home with a pregnancy stick with the 2 lines between them. I said, how nasty are you? You peed on that stick. You don't have it in a bag or nothing. She wanted to gloat in Danny's face that she was pregnant. Danny says, I've seen Lifetime movies before. And you're going to get one of those prosthetic bellies, aren't you? And then Danny says, take another test right in front of her. Haley refuses. And then Danny said, well, I guess we just will agree to disagree. And this is a pregnancy pause. Thomas and Bill at the office. Bill demands Thomas to spy on the Duprees. He's trying to get in good back with his daughters and all that good stuff. So he wants to know anything, whether it's about Chelsea, Naomi, Danny, or Leslie. Thomas is not okay with it, but he has to agree to it. He started asking all these questions to the cat at some point during the when they were out meeting for lunch or whatever. Naomi stops by Bill's office, and Bill and Haley, they announce their pregnancy. Naomi didn't freak out like Danny. However, she does give some shade and says the baby is insurance. It's guaranteeing that Haley will have child support and maybe even a trust. Haley's like, look, this baby could be the start of what brings us all together. They're going back and forth, but Bill is all of a sudden not feeling good. Naomi and Haley jump to his side. They put whatever they had as far as a disagreement, and Bill is slurring his words, so they rush him to the hospital. Danny and Andre. Danny wants to talk about the pregnancy. She's basically saying how this has got to be. It's a huge adjustment. Now the husband's going to bond, and I'm remembering when I got pregnant and our bond together, da-da-da-da-da. And Andre really is deciding his leave because it's all about this whole Bill stuff, and she won't let it go. He says, well, maybe you should spend more time paying attention to what's right in front of you. Someone who actually gives a M-N. He confesses, I'm changing into something where I want more than just sex with no strings attached and all that good stuff. Danny says that she's not ready, and you're not waiting either for her to be ready and all that good stuff. So both people are still attached to other people, even though Andre's taking forward steps in this whole thing to at least push it upon Danny. But however, whatever went down, Danny and Andre end up having sex. After it, Andre says it looks like the sex is what we needed to have amazing sex. That little argument. Danny refers to Andre as her Mr. Right Now. And at this point, he asks, am I more than this? So she changes his name to CEO, Chief Executive of Orgasms. You're still treating him like something of a sex toy. And then Andre says, why can't you admit that there is more? But they're interrupted before Danny could talk because now that there's a call from Bill. So as we move on into this Bill story, of course, I already said that Bill has been rushed to the hospital. He's being treated by Doug. And what Doug has said what's possibly he's experiencing is TIA, which is a mini stroke, which is a warning sign for an actual stroke. Bill just really wants to go home. He's not feeling the symptoms right now, da-da-da-da-da. Doug lets him go home. However, he's under a strict type of way he's got to operate. Danny comes in, and it looks like Danny's the only one that's able to talk sense into him. Naomi and Haley are there also. So Haley falls to the sideline again. She does admit later on that she's a little jealous when she was seeing the family able to do that. Have you gotten to know this man, ma'am? I mean, you're all up his butt to be Mrs. Bill, I forgot his last name, Hamilton, wife. You like that status or whatever, but it's too early. Y'all just got married in February, our time. That's 3-4 months? March, April, May, June? 4 months now? And you're jealous over a family that has already been established. Okay. Danny tells Bill to drop the pride, and do whatever the doctors say to get back into shape. And Naomi's like, are you doing okay being here with your ex-husband? Danny says, I'm not done being mad at him yet. And he doesn't get to slip away to hell on me. But Bill does assure Haley later on that there's nothing between him and Danny, and there's not something that you can easily sever for the connection that we had and all that good stuff, especially in stressful times. Is this it? Oh, well, we're still going. Chelsea, she hasn't even gone to the hospital yet, but she eyes this stranger and she makes the first move by saying, "We are both too gorgeous to be drinking alone." Being corny, she don't really know how to approach this woman, and she let her know that the stranger that was awkward. Madison, we find out her name. She introduces herself as that. That's all the information we got. Chelsea has to look at one of her texts because she did ignore Naomi before. Now she knows that Bill is in trouble, but he's fine and he's going back home. And by the time she looks up from her text, Madison is gone. So this is a little bit mysterious. Laura is back. Hey. Of course, they have a surprise party for her. Then they get on the topic of Eva and Leslie. Kat insists that Eva worked with Leslie to take Laura's job. Nicole and Laura do not believe that. Kat said, I know you have your own opinion about it, but I have mine. And mine happens to be right. Laura, and then later on, Laura is having a hard time adjusting, and she ends up calling Eva. But Kat is a lot like me. Like, look. But for me, I'm the type of person, I can feel something or whatever, I get something to confirm it. I'll wait it out to see if what I'm thinking or whatever is happening is the truth. And then I find out, I say, oh, thank you, right again. Ted and Eva, they have lunch at Uptown. She talks about the salon, everything's going well. One of my most consistent customers is Samantha. But she does miss her job as Nicole's assistant. It made her feel important. Ted owns his part with the affair, and Eva says that she cannot blame Leslie for everything that went wrong. Eva, thank God Kat wasn't there, but she'd be like, thank you, I was right again. Eva gets a text and she has to leave. As she's getting up to go, she runs into Nicole. She ends up, I think they address each other, but then Eva leaves and Ted is there and he wants to talk. Ted is having a little small talk. At this point, Nicole is not stopping him, but she does say that, that's the most that he can expect when they're around each other at this time. And then all of a sudden, Leslie comes in and interrupts while they're having their connection. And then that was Nicole's excuse to get herself up out of there as she's looking at the other woman. So then Ted and Leslie have a small talk, and she's like, call the police off of me. And she's like, I don't have nothing to do with that. And of course, she's trying to still act like there's a chance between her and Ted. And he just walks past her and pays her dust. I already said that Laura calls Eva over to show her the ropes. Eva does apologize for what happened with her accident, but she says that she did not do it. And Laura already says that she believes her. So Bill comes, this is after Bill is out of the hospital, checks out of the hospital. It's the next day, and he comes home in the middle of the day. And Haley was surprised. Against Doug's orders, he went to work. But anyways, Haley was like, well, why are you, or maybe they were at work, I don't know. But anyways, Haley's saying that she's surprised and concerned that Bill is home. Bill plays it off, but she's still scared, and she demands that he takes better care of himself. He agrees. And then they fantasize about their future son or daughter, and all of a sudden he wants to be He-Man and flirts with her and wants to have sex. While they're making out and all that good stuff, he's on top of her. He ends up collapsing and passing out, and then rushed to the hospital again. Naomi and Chelsea, they're meeting up at Uptown. Chelsea vents to Naomi about Kat being too involved with this whole Eva situation, when she should be more concerned. I think their first shipment has come in or whatever, launching a new line. Naomi says, I understand your greed, but I understand Kat. It's thrilling to be involved with a investigation, especially being married to a police officer for years. Then they talk about their dad and basically says, we got to make sure that he stays on top of his health. And he says that they will have regular check-ins. And then all of a sudden, Madison shows up again. Madison acts like she doesn't know anything about Chelsea. And Naomi's like, what's going on here? Hold on, do you know each other? And Madison says, we don't. And that's basically true. All she did is just gave her name. I don't even think that she knew Chelsea's name. Chelsea tries to strike a conversation, but Madison is not really into it. And then next thing you know, she's out the door again. Derek ends up calling the girls to tell them about Bill being back into the hospital, and they rush to the hospital. Ooh, and this scene was interesting. Joey, Doug, and Vanessa. Vanessa and Joey are ravishing, or I don't know what the word is, reliving what happened when they had sex on the gambling table, and all that good stuff. Then all of a sudden he invites Doug to sit down, and she's wondering what the hell is going on. And Joey cuts to the chase and says that Doug owes him $250,000. And Vanessa says, I didn't know that you were a gambler. So what, you think I'm going to write you a check or something? And Joey said, no, I want to launder money through your business. And she's like, absolutely not. Doug ends up leaving because he's trying to convince her to do this, but she's not having any of that. After Doug leaves, Vanessa rips into Joey saying, you played me. You made me believe that you cared. And it was the first real attraction that wasn't just about sex that I've had in years for someone, in you. And you're nothing but a liar and a manipulative bastard. And she ends up slapping him. I said, okay, I don't know what's going to happen next, but I think something's going to happen. But I'm ready to see Vanessa and Doug really go at it, because it's time. It looks like whatever has been hidden is now out. Vanessa cheats and all that good stuff. He doesn't know that Joey and Vanessa have slept together, though. Oof, that's going to be crazy. So at the hospital, Haley's by Bill's side. He's slurring and can hardly talk, since Doug isn't there, they talk about this doctor. Dr. Montgomery's going to be there. Next thing you know, Dr. Montgomery comes in, and we find out that it's Madison. So, for the biggest story that I've been holding on to, Anita and Sharon, at the beginning of the week, they have it out. She says, let's put it all out on the table and deal with it. Sharon says that she received plenty of offers to go solo, but always turned them down because of her love for the Articulates. Sharon accuses Dante and Anita of spreading rumors that she had problems with drugs and alcohol. If what I can really tell you is basically the Supreme story. Of course, there's a little twist, but hey, it's Supreme / Dreamgirls. Sharon asks, how much does Vernon know about what really happened to split up the Articulates? Anita says that she told Vernon that it's a complicated situation. And then she says that you hung your sisters out to dry. Dante made them sign an NDA when they disbanded in order for them to even get their last check or final payment. And her and Tracy had to go back to the old neighborhood with our tails tucked between our legs. Anita says that Dante had all of the control. Dante's just like a Barry Gordy or a Curtis. Sharon says, no, it was your choice to give him control. Sharon, I know the truth, and maybe it's time to let everyone in on the secret, including Vernon. I'll never trust you again. And then Sharon leaves. And this is really troubling Anita because there's a secret that she has not told. The next day, Naomi comes over to visit with her Gran, and Naomi brings up an old poster from when the Articulates were supposed to be performing somewhere. It was one of their concerts. But Anita's not really happy in regards to it because it brings a lot of sadness. Naomi says, lift your spirits, let's go to lunch. But she tells Naomi, no, I can't do it. I won't wallow, but I've earned this sadness and I need to sit in it for a while. So after Naomi leaves, we see Anita. She's pulling out this letter in a secret compartment that she has. We find out that there was a fourth member of the Articulates. Her name was Barbara, and she's the originator. She's the one that got the group together. However, Dante was disapproving as the group was moving forward that Barbara should stay in the group. He said that her voice was ghetto and something. I don't think I made it there yet, sorry. Never mind. In the letter, Barbara is accusing Anita of stealing the group from her. Yeah, Dante said her voice was too classless and ghetto for the Articulates. So Anita has every word memorized, so she's just really reliving the terror that's and the sadness within this letter that Barbara has written to her. If you're reading this, sister, I've left this world for what I hope is a better place. and that's on you. So basically, Barbara unalived herself, and in this letter, she blames Anita. Anita was very ambitious, and she wanted to move on and do what she needed to do for the group, and ended up cutting Barbara out of it. And from that, when she got done with that sentence, we see Anita break down. And it is something that we have not seen in daytime, despite what people want to say. Yes, there's been other people that have unalived themselves, but for other reasons. We've never seen someone just blatantly blame someone and put the blood on someone's hand like that, you know? So the next day, Anita decides it's finally time to tell Vernon about the fourth member, a secret she originally planned to take to her grave. So she tells Vernon and all of that, and how, what the type of person that she was in the group. Her behavior was self-serving and short-sighted. Vernon says, but so are most people when they're young. Her role in all of this may have been regrettable, but it's unforgivable. So this whole time that Anita thought that possibly Vernon was going to come down on her or whatever and thinks less of her, Vernon immediately restores her and says, look, that was bad, but that's not who you are right now, and you need to think of yourself more highly than what you're at right now, blah, 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 blah. Anita doesn't want to feel better about it. She said, that's one of the reasons why I didn't even want to tell you, because you're going to try to make me skate up out of this. And she wants to sulk in her own misery. I unalived her. It's like I pulled the trigger myself. She says that she has been giving Barbara's family money anonymously. Now, this sounds like from the Supremes. Who is it? What's her name? The original member? Because she was more of the leader of the group anyways. Oh, Lord. Flo. Was it Flo? Yeah, Flo. Now, she didn't commit, However, she became an alcoholic and all that good stuff. That's a lot about how Sharon is and all that good stuff. Talking about what was put on her as a label. But I think she ended up having some sickness and passing away. She tried to do other things musically, but without the group, nobody wasn't really paying attention to her or seeing it for her, But even with all of this money that she gave, she said all the money in the world couldn't replace what they lost. And then she ends up just saying that, the reunion is off. Vernon says, it's time to let go of all of that guilt and stuff, blah, 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 blah. And he says, I'm here with you right now, and I won't let you go through this alone. At Orphans, Sharon is talking with Tracy about revamping her career. She wants to do this reunion thing, but then I'm going to ditch Anita at the first sign of anyone asking about me. Da, 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 da. And we're going to do it off of Anita Williams' back. We'll steal the spotlight right from under her. So Tracy gets a troubling call from Vernon saying, Anita's no longer interested in reuniting. And they said, if you two are really interested in doing a reunion, you want to see this happen, you two are going to have to intervene. Tracy thanks him, and then they go. Back to the Dupree home. Before they get there, Vernon has another talk with Anita. He says that he believes deep down Anita still wants to do the reunion. Even just for one night, that could ease the weight of what was so tragic. And if that can help in easing that, then I say let's do it. Anita ends up dropping more tea to Vernon, saying that she left the group right after Barbara's unaliving. The group was supposed to take a break to mourn the original member, but Anita used that time to go solo, making the break for the group a permanent one. That was pretty foul, but I think that since she knew what had happened to Barbara, that it wouldn't work out. And she needed to separate herself right away. And basically, she ran. She really did. Sharon isn't exactly thrilled when Tracy tells her what Vernon said. She says, damn that woman to hell and back. And they hurry over to the Duprees, as I said before. So they come back, and Anita announces up front, I'm in no mood to fight. So if you're here to do that, take your negativity somewhere else. And although I take my blame and responsibility for what I did, you two are also responsible. And they clutched their pearls. And they said, well, you both could have walked away when Dante fired Barbara, but you didn't you? So let's not pretend I was the only one who was ambitious and selfish. The version of the story of where I'm the villain and you're completely innocent, you can take that and stick it up your And then she says, you know, the articulates are as dead or unalived as Barbara, and nothing can resurrect them. And then she walks off into her foyer and goes and cries. That was it, you know. I enjoyed this week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed how I actually gave the story out. You know, I've been just trying to figure out how to do this, but you know, tell me your thoughts of this week. You think Kat needs to just cool it down? She's got the evidence and all that, but then Jacob already told her don't do that. As far as even breaking, that could be considered stealing or whatever. He even stole it first though. But they could come together and lie and say that you broke in and all this good stuff. So I don't know, Kat. We shall see. What do you think about this new character, Madison? It might be cool to see Chelsea get involved. I want to see if she got a little bit of Danny in her, as far as a little craziness inside of her. Not so much as Danny, but a little bit, you know. But we shall see. But that's all I do have. Let me know what you thought. Like this video, subscribe, and until next week, peace.